Hello everyone, happy Sunday. Simon here with AvaTrade, and I welcome you back to our webinar. For those of you that are new to this webinar, just two words. We're trying to make a plan for the week, and that's the title of the webinar pretty much. And I say it all the time, and I say it again. You plan your trade, and then you trade your plan. It creates a structure, it creates a plan, creates direction. I want to apologize. I don't feel the best, a little bit under the weather, so I might sound a little bit funny, maybe cough here and there. But don't worry, it's not contagious over computer. Sorry for the silly joke. So before we go any further, I would like to read the risk warning as usual. Any capital markets and trading information disclosed in this webinar is provided for informative purposes only and should not be construed or applied as investment advice, recommendations, suggestions. CFDs are complex instruments and come with the high risk of losing money rapidly due to leverage. 71% of retail investor accounts lose money when trading CFDs with this provider. You should consider whether you understand how CFDs work or whether you can afford to take the high risk of losing your money. And you can find a full disclosure statement at avatrade.com website. And as always, here are the contacts for us. You can follow us on Twitter. YouTube, of course, is filled with a lot of information with tutorials and webinars, including this webinar being recorded and posted there. And this is the agenda as usual, not necessarily in the same sequence, but we'll be talking about indices, Forex world, commodities, stocks. And let's start. Again, I hope you're having a great weekend and getting ready for the upcoming week. And this is something that the key that I mentioned last week to you, and I said that this retail sales report will be very, very crucial because December is kind of a very significant one because Christmas and all the fancy sales of the year going on, and it's a big indication as far as consumer spending and so on. And it was very disappointing, as you could see. Um, the numbers are disappointing. Also, I don't know if you had the chance to read about it, but Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index is the lowest I read somewhere in the past decade. So it's very interesting. We'll see in a moment. We'll have the market reacted to it, but it's very interesting how disappointing data affecting the market. And uh, these are the announcements in upcoming week. I'm just again, I suggest that you check yourself the economic calendar. There's more events happening. It depends on what you trade or what markets you're focusing on. What I do, I just choose the one with the highest impact. That's why they're all in red. So Monday, we have GDP numbers from China and the retail sales. Tuesday, Japan monetary policy interest rate decision press conference, also very important. Unemployment rate from UK on Tuesday. Wednesday, CPI numbers from UK, CPI from Germany, CPI from Canada, and the Governor of Bank of England speaking on Wednesday as well. Thursday, employment data from Australia, important interest rate decision from China, monetary policy meeting minutes from Japan, ECB President Lagarde speaking on Friday, and retail sales from Canada on Friday. Now, what we're going to do now, as usual, we're going to move to the trading platform, which is MT4, and we'll be talking about the markets, and we'll discuss things one by one. So just to indicate what I was mentioning, how the market reacted on Friday news. Let's take a look over here. This is when the news came out, I believe. One second. On the 14th. Yeah, this is when the news came out. So it's very important to understand how weird the whole positive negative thing is. On the negative news, the market reacted positively right away. Then it went back to the pre-news levels, even lower, and then in the afternoon session, you had a super duper move up, which is bypassed the previous initial move on the news, and we closed on the high of the day, and we'll see in a moment in the hourly chart. We closed at the previous kind of temporary resistance here. So I just want to bring you to your attention. You know, I'm a very practical, logical person, and again, I'm not into these conspiracy theories or anything else. But it's just really weird. How should you and I uh, make make sense of this market when the terrible retail sales and terrible consumer sentiment is not really pushing the market lower? So one should ask the question, you know, what the market's really like. And I'm going to try to make it very, very simple here. First of all, to myself and you, let's just try to think. You know, we all know when we spoke about it that the market is really thriving on free money, on the zero interest rates. And the moment the Fed start talking about increasing the rates, the market reacted to it in the past few weeks on the FOMC meeting and so on. And it's just so confusing because here the news came out. That means, okay, maybe the Fed will not be pushing for interest rate decision or increase soon. And then the market said, oh, you know what, maybe not. I'm just trying to get into the brain of the market. Maybe not. Maybe they will continue. And then again, okay, bad news may be good. And again, we went and we closed on the highs of the day. So uh, and it's going to continue this way. I don't know until when the good news is the bad news and the bad news is the good news, and then they mix each other and they get really, really confusing. So in any event, the retail sales are bad. The consumers are not excited about what's happening, and meanwhile the markets are holding the highs. And let's just go really quick through um, through the indices themselves. So we are after this recent sell, especially on Thursday with the selling. Then Friday we did go lower, and then we closed within the previous day candle. That's on S&Ps. Dow Jones closed actually lower, and we understand in a moment why. And Nasdaq closed a little bit higher than the opening. Now let's take a look at European indices really quick. DAX a little bit on the positive side. FTSE crazy strong is holding up. And again, on the fundamental part, there's a lot of pressure on Boris Johnson, and he apologized in front of the Queen for attending the party during the lockdown and blah 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 and everything else. And the FTSE is being very very strong here. And CSC 40, the French index, to the upside, and Nikkei also before it was selling on Thursday. We had a nice sell-off on Friday, but then it was a nice comeback, and we closed higher than the opening. And Nifty, actually, Nifty is a nice level over here for a possible action to the downside. After this nice recovery in the past 2 days, it was a little bit of stagnation here. So we'll be watching that. So, by the way, very important to mention, Monday, U.S., it's a federal holiday. It's a Martin Luther King Day, and the market is going to be closed. Equity market and the bond market are going to be closed. So it's going to be choppy trading. As we know, U.S. Markets are the biggest in the world. So without them working, but other markets are going to be fully functioning. So again, very interesting how the public will digest this negative news over the weekend. And I think what could we do here? So if you take a weekly chart, the previous week was a sell-off after all-time highs. And this past week, let's see, the open was 46.57.75. and the close was 46.6375. It's about $6 higher. Okay, so pretty much flat in a way. So it's going to be interesting how, again, they have a little bit of a breather because Monday the markets are closed, but comes Tuesday, I'm expecting some serious actions on the market and possibly to the downside, judging by the previous week and the flat week with the tails up and down. A lot of buyers and sellers are confused at these levels. So very interesting how the week will start. And of course, Asia will start the action, Europe will pick up, and then on Tuesday, US will get to the game again. So that's as far as indices. On individual stocks, uh, we'll take a look at individual stocks. And I want to bring to your attention something that we mentioned as far as the earnings. And there were two banking stocks that we spoke about. Citibank actually came up with not so bad news, and I'll start with JP Morgan first. That would make sense. JP Morgan reported they miss their earning expectations, and the stock traded lower. The pre-market, of course, it gapped down and continued. So it was a nice drop. Citigroup, uh, of course, in the as a as a company or in the sympathy with JP Morgan, also gapped down, but then it recovered. It kind of closed the gap. And then Goldman Sachs also gapped down and stayed down. And just to jump a little bit ahead of myself, this upcoming week, Goldman Sachs is reporting on the 18th before the market. So there's a possibility, judging by there's no strength to recover. Maybe they are reporting better news this coming week and continue to the lower side. As we speak of earnings for the upcoming week, I suggest that you check it yourself. You can just Google stocks earnings for whatever the week or time is. Netflix is reporting on the 20th, and that's after the market closed. And take a look. Netflix had we mentioned it that we got into below 600 and the sell-off continued. And by the way, speaking of levels, take a look. That's where the whole action to the upside started, and we stopped right there and bounced from here. Speaking of really preparing yourself and having these levels marked on your chart or somewhere you can put alerts, you can put reminders, you can use technology for that. It's important when everybody panicking, you know that sometimes it's a good level to pick it up. Now, fundamentally, Netflix just announced that they're raising the monthly subscription, some half a dollar a month, and so on. The stock reacted to the upside. Now we're talking about fundamentally, but technically, it's very nice action. As you could see, this is the level. It was a resistance. We broke through. We confirmed as a support, and then we just after this a nice move down, we held this support over here. So that's as far as Netflix will be watching for the earnings in the upcoming week. And let's take a look at the big guys. Tesla is holding, GM is holding, Coca-Cola. We spoke about Coca-Cola after this move higher. They might go higher, and they did. And what could be next? That we might face a little bit of a resistance here, because again, speaking of levels, right from this level was sold out. So if we're not closing about it, we're not creating any upside pressure, it could be an opportunity potentially, especially with if the market comes in, to have a little bit of a downside action on Coca-Cola. Amazon has been selling, and Friday they bounced a little bit. AT&T, we spoke about AT&T, that it was on the list of Barron's for the 2022, and similar idea as in Coca-Cola, we're entering this level of a lot of resistance, and potentially it could be for people trying to catch a quick short, an opportunity to the downside on AT&T. Johnson & Johnson, after this recent move, we're selling with the gaps, and at some point we'll be looking for possible buying opportunity there. Pfizer with the vaccine and pills and everything else, for some reason, after making new highs, been sliding slowly lower. And if we go below this candle here, which is 53.92, that would mean another lower low, and probably slide even lower to maybe 52 area there. Now, the week after, the week of the 24th, a lot of big names are reporting, and that includes Facebook, Apple, Google, and so on. So I'm not going to be talking about them today. We'll focus on them before the week of the earnings. But just for you to know that in 2 weeks they are reporting all the big names. Now I always look at these two guys, Snapchat and the Twitter, as they slowly sliding with the small retracements. As far, I mean, so far it's been a slide down for them, both of them, and they seem not to be finding any support, serious support. So that's a Snapchat and the Twitter. And just a reminder, the whole move started when Apple changed their policy as far as iPhone and technology, where people could choose to share the information with applications or not. And let's take a look at Alibaba really quick. And we said that Alibaba might have found support here. This was the week before, and this week we just finished. It's been really flat. So it could be that some buyers are stepping in there. Now, if we're already close to this guy here, Bitcoin is having a hard time. It's been selling, and the moment we couldn't break through 50, we went to retest 40, and we're around 43,000 now. Let's see what's next. And let's take a look at commodities and something very important. There's a lot of build up on the border with Ukraine, and the talks between US, NATO, and Russia, they don't lead anywhere. And I just read up a little bit, and Putin's really threatening. There's like 100,000 troops and building up on the border with Ukraine, and he's really leveraging his demands that NATO should commit not to let Ukraine and Georgia into NATO and so on, and remove their presence from some Eastern European countries. And in any event, we're not going to go into politics, but crude oil has been acting very strongly, and we are on the way to 85. We closed at 84.27, and this bar here or candle was 84.94 before we had a nice slide to about $20 move to the downside. So in order for it to move, as some predict 100, some even say 200. I don't know where they get these numbers, all these famous analysts. But it's been strong. Every pullback continues to the upside. So 85 plus minus is a psychological level for now. And let's see if that happens. Especially some predict if Russia does make a move, so oil might continue higher. Natural gas after this build up that we spoke about, it had a nice move higher, almost to $5, and the high here was 487, and then Thursday was sold, and then Friday also was a down day. So natural gas, it's very sensitive to what might happen between Russia and Ukraine, as Europe is relying heavily on natural gas, and of course the pipes or some of the pipes go through Ukraine. So it's a very sensitive issue should the war break out. Copper, we spoke about copper, had a nice move. I mentioned that it's all focused on alternative energy, and the copper is being used together with lithium and aluminum. and it did have a nice move up, and in 2 days it came right back. So it's a little bit of uncertainty what's next there. And let's move to the Forex world. Again, I'm sorry for my voice. It's a little bit hard for me to speak. Dollar index, after a nice correction to the downside, and I'm going to share with you in a moment what this level means. 94.78, we had a few spikes below it, and then Friday it was a nice recovery. So it could be that we have reached at least a temporary bottom from which we're going to try to make a nice advance higher. And here's why. This is a strong week that we had on September 20th, the week of September 20th of 2020, for which we sold. And here there was a lot of actions around this level. There was a resistance, then support, then support, then support, and it became a resistance over here also. So very strong level from which we bounced nicely. And potentially, again, as we're getting closer to the interest rate increase, we might see continuation to the upside in dollar. So after this nice correction, some people might have caught it nicely for the profit to the downside. And as you could see, Friday was a very strong move up. And that's the US dollar. And we're going to run really quickly through some currency pairs. And let's just go, of course, as we see that the dollar bounced to the upside, of course, we can expect that major pairs reacted right here. The euro dollar, after almost reaching 15, we're back to 14 area, 114, sorry. GBP also, GBP very interesting. This is the level from which we sold, and we had an attempt to go higher. We closed higher, then we had open and close higher. It's very, very significant. But then we came back into this area. There could be, if dollar continues high, could be a shorting opportunity, at least till around 135 area on the pound. Australian dollar, a strong sell-off. The 2 days were erased by one move. And again, we're back into this area that we had a hard time breaking. So the majors are having a hard time against the dollar. This was a very good play. I think I mentioned it, that 115.5 would be a very nice level if we are showing some price action. And we did have a breakout through it, but then the moment we came straight in, we had a very nice sell-off on the yen. And also I mentioned, if the market starts selling, that the yen in general will get strong. And I spoke about all the pairs with the yen, and let's take a look at them. Take a look. Aussie yen, a nice move lower. Euro yen, 2 days down. New Zealand, 2 days down. CAD, 2 days down. Even the oil is strong. Yen is overpowering Canadian dollar, and pound yen moving down, and Swiss franc moving down. So again, if the market in the upcoming week continues lower, the yen could gain strength. Again, for those of you that are new, I mentioned it that the moment the stocks are selling or the equities are selling, the money flows into safe haven instruments like gold and Japanese yen and Swiss franc in some occasions or some occasions. So let's take a look at gold. I think we missed it. And gold has been building up for something. It's been really ranging, few breakouts above 1832. As I mentioned, it's a key level. And on the daily chart, we are dipping occasionally below 1800, then right back. So the range is kind of getting tighter. And it's between between 1810 and 1832. Again, the same thing. If they choose to bring the gold higher, we need to see, like you could see right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to have another attempt and succeed breaking 1832. and maybe from there we might continue to the upside. That's gold. And I want to bring the Turkish Lira again. We speak about it on weekly basis after all these crazy moves. It had a hard time breaking anywhere. It was sitting, and I said either way it's going to break. It's going to have an impulse, and it did. So that was, I guess, the Wednesday move lower and the recovery, and we're in the middle of it. So it looks down. It had a hard time breaking to the upside, and then eventually moved lower. But it looks like a lot of accumulation happening here, like it did over here. Take a look before this crazy continuation to the upside. It was a nice build up around the same level. So similar thing is going on now. So we'll be seeing, and let's take a look at the ZAR. Dollar has got a little bit weaker against the South African currency, but we're sitting here in these levels over here around 1535, 1540. Some building up is going on. So for the dollar getting stronger in the upcoming week, we might see continuation. And the only thing we need to break this level 1540, what's that, 1548, 1549 in order for it to continue to the upside. And just to show you why, this is the weekly chart. So this level 1548, 1549, it's a very serious level. You see, there was sitting right on it, and then it was this last week that broke to the downside. So if we also could continue lower for some reason, I don't know, some great news from South Africa, anything is possible. But it looks like a fake breakout if we start this upcoming week to the upside, and we see some closing on daily charts about 1548, 1549, and we might continue higher. And that's it pretty much. Again, just to summarize it, the week just finished. We had super low retail sales and historical consumer sentiment, negative feedback from consumers, and we have a few events, upcoming events that I mentioned, and build up with Russia and Ukraine that might significantly increase, or I want to say increase or decrease, depends what happens, but impact crude oil and natural gas. And Monday, US stocks and bonds are closed. The rest of the world is regular. And Tuesday, we want to see what the equity market in US is doing after this bunch of bad news, how they digest it over the weekend. That's it pretty much. I want to wish everyone a great weekend or whatever's left of it, and have a successful week. Stay healthy and safe and happy. All the best. Take care.